Actually, what if I told you that your life, your career, your health, your relationships is just the sum of your daily habits? Not your goals. Actually, not your dreams, but the small choices you make every single day, often without thinking. The truth is, success doesn't come from one big moment. It's not the qualat a single massive leap. It's the result of tiny, consistent steps. You don't rise to the level of your ambitions. You fall to the level of your consistency. Actually, most people overestimate what they can achieve in a week and underestimate what they can achieve in a year, simply by showing up daily. Actually, is it a little head? Actually, this is science, this is strategy. And if you want real change, lasting transformation, it starts with one small habit, one atomic shift. Actually, Lizzie had that shift into your life. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Chapter 20. Actually, the power of tiny changes. We often believe that in order to make a difference, we need to make massive changes. A new job, a total diet overhaul, actually a dramatic morning routine. But the reality is, long-lasting change doesn't come from sudden breakthroughs. It comes from small, consistent actions compounded over time. Consider this: if you improve just 1% every day for a year, you'll be 37 times better by the end of it. Actually, that's not theory, that's math. It's the compound effect in action. But it works the other way too. If you decline just 1% every day, actually those tiny losses add up: a skipped workout, one more cigarette, another snooze button. These small moments matter. Actually, habits are the inner's 8A life. They either build you up or break you down. Let's take the story of Dave Brailsford. Actually, coach of the British, 2003, they were a national embarrassment. But Brailsford didn't aim to overhaul everything overnight. Actually, he focused on the aggregation of marginal gains, improving everything by just 1%. Better bike seats, warmer shorts, more aerodynamic helmets, cleaner hand-washing habits to avoid illness. The result, within 5 years, British cyclists dominated the Olympics, Tour de France, actually, and broke world records, all because a tiny change is done consistently. The same applies to you. The problem isn't you. The problem is your system. Actually, and if you want better results, you lead better habits, not motivation, not willpower. Systems in this book, actually, will break down the science behind habits stick, how to build good ones, and how to eliminate the bad. You'll learn the habit loop, actually how identity shapes behavior, and why environment design is your greatest tool. Change doesn't require revolution. Actually, it requires evolution, and that begins with just one atomic habit. Would you like me to continue with chapter 2? If yes, I'll move forward with actually, the root of lasting change, about how habits shape identity and vice versa. Let me know, or if you'd like a specific number of chapters total. Actually, we can map our outer slipping setter to and actually, identity. The root of lasting change is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Most people approach change by focusing on outcomes. Actually, I want to earn 6 figures. I want to read 50 books. These are results-based goals. Actually, but they rarely stick because they don't get to the core of who you are. True lasting change starts with identity. Actually, there are 3 layers to behavior change: outcomes, processes, and identity. Most people work from the outside in, chasing goals. Actually, then trying to build routines. But the real shift happens when you work from the inside out. When you start with, oh, do I want to do that? Actually, do you want to be a healthy person? Then every healthy meal, every workout, every walk is a vote for that identity. Actually, want to be a great writer? Each paragraph you write, even badly, is a vote. Every time you skip writing, you vote against it. Actually, but here's the powerful part. You don't need to win every vote. You just need a majority. Let's take an example. Actually, 2 people are trying to quit smoking. Both are offered a cigarette. One says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The other says, "No thanks. Actually, I'm not a smoker." Who do you think is more likely to succeed? The second one. Why? Actually, because they're not just changing their behavior, they're changing their identity. Your habits are how you embody your beliefs about yourself. Actually, if you believe you're someone who's lazy, you'll reinforce that belief every time you skip the gym. But if you believe you're someone who shows up no matter what, your actions will begin to align. So how do you build this new identity? You start small, you show up, you repeat the behavior, and over time, the behavior reinforces the belief. This is how confidence grows, not from shouting affirmations in the mirror, but from evidence. Habits are evidence of who you are becoming. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to cast the right votes again and again. Because at the end of the day, you don't rise to your goals, you rise or fall to the level of your identity. Chapter 3. How habits work. The 4-step feedback loop. Habits don't form by accident. They follow a pattern, a repeatable cycle that your brain runs through every time. Understand the cycle and you gain power. Power to build good habits and fight bad ones with precision. This cycle has 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward. It starts with a cue. It tends your brain to begin a behavior. Maybe it's the sound of your alarm, the smell of coffee. The sight of your phone lighting up. The cue is your brain's nudge. It's time for something. Then comes the craving, the desire. Not for the habit itself, but for the sense state it brings. You don't crave brushing your teeth. You crave a clean mouth. You don't crave checking social media. You crave connection or distraction. Cravings are the emotional fuel behind habits. Next is the response, the actual behavior. If it's easy and the craving is strong enough, you act. If it's too difficult, you delay or abandon it. That's why small habits are so powerful. They reduce resistance to action. Finally comes the reward, the payoff, relief. Satisfaction, pleasure. That reward teaches your brain, do this again next time. It reinforces the loop, let's say every afternoon. You walk to the kitchen for a cookie. You feel bored at work. Craving, you want a break and a little dopamine. Response, you get the cookie. Your boredom fades, sugar hits, temporary satisfaction. Repeat that loop enough and it becomes automatic. Your brain learns. Cookie comfort, even when you're not hungry. To change habits, don't just fight the behavior, work on the loop. Want to build a new habit? Make the cue attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. Want to break a bad one? Make the cue invisible. The craving unattractive, the response difficult, and the reward unsatisfying. This is how your brain builds patterns, not through motivation. They're not goals, they are systems. And once you master the loop, you master your future. Ready for Chapter 4. Chapter 4C. Make it obvious. Designing your environment for success. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall. Your environment is the system you live in every day. If you're struggling to build better habits, the problem isn't your location, it's what surrounds you. Your environment silently shapes your behavior. Want to eat healthier? It's a lot harder with fruit in sight. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow, not hidden on a shelf. Make the cue of your habit so obvious, your brain can't ignore it. We like to believe that we in control with our actions, but much of what we do is automatic, triggered by our surroundings. Walk into a dark room, you reach for the light switch, hear a ding, you check your phone, the environment whispers, and you obey often without thinking. This is why habit change begins with awareness. Before you can build better behavior, you need to see what's really happening around you. A powerful method for this is the habit scorecard. Write down your daily routine and label as positive, negative, or neutral. You'll start to notice how many of your actions are simply reactions. Once you've identified your triggers, it's time to redesign them. Put visual cues in your path. If you want to drink more water, set a glass next to your laptop. If you want to meditate, place your cushion where you'll see it first thing in the morning. These small tweaks can have massive impact. James Clear says, environment is the hand that shapes human behavior. Make your environment work for you, not against you. Let it nudge you. Her way to change bad behavior is not through self-control, but by removing temptation. Actually, out of sight is often out of mind. If you're trying to break a habit, make the cue invisible. Don't rely on willpower, rely on design. Actually, in the end, success is in just our personal effort. It's about strategic setup. Design a space where your good habits are the default. Actually, and your best self becomes automatic. Shall I continue with Chapter 5? Chapter 5. Actually, make it attractive. The power of temptation and dopamine. Let's be honest. We repeat behaviors not because they're good for us, actually, but because they feel good. This is where craving comes in. If you want to build a habit that sticks, it has to be attractive. The more appealing it is, the more likely your brain will say yes to doing it again. Actually, at the center of a follicle of desire, most people think dopamine gets released when we experience pleasure. Actually, but here's the surprising truth. Dopamine spikes before the action, not after. It's the anticipation, not the reward, that drives behavior. Actually, this means you can't just make a habit rewarding, you need to make it desirable from the start. Think of brushing your teeth as a kid. Actually, you didn't want to do it until suddenly bubblegum toothpaste. Suddenly it became fun. That's the secret. Actually, pair the action with something your brain already loves. This is called temptation bundling. Want to build a reading habit? Actually, only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while walking to the library. Want to go to the gym more? Actually, only watch your favorite shade meal. You're linking something you should do with something you want to do. Actually, you can also use social reinforcement. Surround yourself with people who already live the habit you want. Join a running group. Actually, sit near productive coworkers or contagious, especially when it's tied to belonging, when something feels normal in your tribe. Actually, it feels right in your mind. Remember, habits are attractive when they signal rewards. Actually, and the reward doesn't have to be big, just has to feel good. Stack your habits with fun. Add music. Add celebration. Add community. Actually, the more attractive it had, the less discipline you need. Your brain is always looking for a reason to say yes, so give it one. Chapter 6c. Actually, make it easy. Why sink it easy? Lazy. We often think success is about grinding harder, waking up earlier, pushing through. Actually, but they're the hardest ones, they're the easiest to repeat. Motivation fades. Simplicity lasts. Actually, in the battle between discipline and convenience, convenience wins every time. Want to build a habit? Don't make it heroic. Make it easy. Actually, friction is your enemy. The more section less likely it happens. If your guitar is in the closet, you'll play less. Actually, if your workout gear is buried in a drawer, you'll train less. Actually, if it's within reach, if it's obvious and effortless, it becomes part of your rhythm. This is where the 2-minute rule becomes powerful. Actually, want to start a new habit? Scale it down to just 2 minutes. Don't say, I'll read a book every night. Say, actually, don't say I'll run 5 miles. Say, I'll put on my running shoes. Why does this work? Actually, because starting is the hardest part. Once you're in motion, momentum takes over. Small actions build trust. They reinforce identity. They say, actually, this is who I am now. Cling gets fit from one push-up. But one push-up every day builds consistency. Consistency leads to volume. Volume leads to results. You don't need to map out your entire future. You just need to take the let's easy step today. Also, make bad habits harder. Increase friction. Log out of apps. Unplug the TV. Actually, hide the junk food. If it's hard to access, it's easier to avoid. Design your life so good habits are effortless and bad habits are inconvenient. Actually, mustn't to do more. The goal is to do what you'll repeat. Because real change doesn't come from motivation. Actually, it comes from making good choices automatic, and that starts by making them easy. Would you like to proceed with Chapter 7? Chapter 7t. Make it satisfying. Why rewards reinforce repetition? We repeat what feels good. It's human nature. If a habit is satisfying, actually your brain wants to do it again. If it feels like punishment or obligation, you'll eventually quit, no matter how good your intentions are. Actually, that's why the 4th law of behavior change is this: make it satisfying. Here's the problem. Most good habits have long-term rewards, but short-term costs. Going to the gym takes effort now, but pays off later. Eating healthy feels boring now, but transforms your energy over time. Actually, your brain doesn't naturally chase the long term. It wants the win right now. To make habits stick, you need to flip the script. Actually, add immediate satisfactory delayed results. How? Start by celebrating small wins. You read one page. Actually, say, I'm proud of that. You hit your daily budget, smile, track it, and reward yourself with a gold star. These moments of joy, no matter how small, send your brain a signal, this is good. Do it again. A great technique is using habit tracking, marking an X on a calendar, actually checking a box in an app, or writing your wins in a journal. It's visual proof of progress. Each mark becomes a micro reward. Actually, your streak becomes something you don't want to break. But what if you miss a day? Life happens. That's fine. Just remember this rule. Actually, listening twice is a new habit. Get back on track immediately. That's where resilience is built. Actually, now let's talk about bad habits. The reason they're so hard to break, they're instantly satisfying. That cigarette, that donut, actually that scroll on your phone, they give quick dopamine, so to stop them, make them feel unsatisfying. Use accountability. Tell a friend. Actually set a consequence. In a habit, immediate and uncomfortable. In the end, we repeat what rewards us. And so reward the actions you want to keep. Make success feel good. Make progress feel visible. Because if it feels good, it becomes real. Actually, and real habits build real change. Would you like to proceed with Chapter 8? Chapter 80, the truth about habit tracking and streaks. What gets measured? Actually, is repeated. Habit tracking is more than a motivational gimmick. Actually, it's a system builds momentum and reinforces identity. Whether it's a calendar, an app, or a notebook, actually, tracking gives your brain something powerful evidence. When you mark an X on the calendar after a workout, actually, you're not just recording what happened. You're saying, I'm the kind of person who follows through. Each mark builds a chain. Actually, each day you show up, you say, this is who I am now. The beauty of a streak is how it creates pressure in your favor. Once you've worked out 5 days in a row, you won't want to break the streak on day 6. Actually, it's no longer about the habit. It's about protecting the identity that habit represents. But here's the key. Actually, the goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. Life gets busy, you'll get sick, you'll miss a day, and that's okay. Actually, the lost successful heroines who never mess up, they're the ones who never miss twice. Recovery is part of the process. Actually, resilience is the real habit. If you're starting out, begin with simple visible tracking, a wall calendar, a sticky note. Actually, a check mark on your face. Make it easy. The less friction between the habit and the record, the more likely you'll keep tracking. Actually, you can also pair tracking with rewards. Each streak you build can unlock something small, a movie night, a fun treat, a new book. Actually, it doesn't have to be big, just satisfying. Just be careful not to let tracking become the goal itself. Missing a day doesn't erase progress. Actually, don't cheat the habit just to keep the streak. It's better to do it right and reset than to fake it for the numbers. Actually, tracking is a compass, not a finish line. It shows you where you're going and reminds you who you're becoming. Actually, and when your identity aligns with your actions, momentum takes over and habits become effortless. Let me know and I'll write it. Chapter 90. Actually, the plateau of latent actual, why conquest feels invisible until it doesn't. Imagine you're in a cold room. The thermostat says 28 degrees. You breathe into your hands, shivering, then you strike a match and light a fire. The temperature rises, 29, 30, 31, but still no sign of change. Actually, you keep feeding the fire for 33, 30, 34, then suddenly at 33 to 34 degrees, ice melts. What happened? Actually, Lazarus here calls the breakthrough. No, it was all of them. Actually, this is the plateau of latent potential. The period where you're doing the work, showing up, building habits. Actually, but it seems like nothing happening, and this is where most people quit. We live in a world of instant feedback. Swipe a screen, get a result. Actually, tap a button, get a reward, so when we build a habit and don't see instant payoff, we think we're failing. But we're not. We're just in the valley where growth is indivisible. Success is never a straight line. It's a slow build, followed by a sudden rise. Actually, like bamboo growing underground for months, then shooting up overnight. Actually, or a stonecutter hammering the rock 100 times with no crack, until it suddenly splits on the 101st blow. Actually, it's the accumulated force of consistency. That's why James Clear says, you don't rise to the level of your ills. Actually, you follow. The habits are a system, and systems take time to compound. Actually, the gym may not show results in the first week, but your identity is shifting, your body is adjusting, your standards are rising. While actually, it's not visibly yet. So when you feel stuck, don't change the goal. Don't abandon the habit. Actually, double down on showing up. You are not failing, you are just in the phase before the ice melts. Real growth is silent, boring, until suddenly it's undeniable. Let me know, and I'll write it right away. Chapter 100. Focus on systems. Actually, not goals. Why process its outcome? Everyone has goals. The difference between winners and losers. Actually, it's not the goal. It's think about it. Every Olympic athlete wants gold. Every entrepreneur wants success. Actually, every student wants an A, but the results vary wildly. Why? Because goals don't set you apart. Systems do. A goal is the result you want. Most right now, what can I do that actually? If you focus only on the outcome, you place your happiness in the future. I'll be fulfilled when I hit the target. But if the goal takes months, or fails, you feel like a failure the entire time. Actually, that's a dangerous cycle. Systems, on the other hand, bring the win into today. Let's say your goal is to write a book. Actually, you can't finish one to write for 20 minutes. That's your system, and if you follow it daily, the book becomes inevitable. Actually, you didn't obsess over the finish line, you just kept showing up. Here's the truth: you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. A 90-day weight loss goal is fine, but a workout routine is better. Want to save money? A 6-figure income dream is great. Actually, what a peaceful mind. A lifelong vision helps, but a daily meditation habit is the system. Actually, this shift changes everything. You stop obsessing over results and start mastering repeatable actions. Actually, and here's the magic: systems out of life goals. Once a goal is hit, motivation often fades. But if you've built the system, progress keeps going. Actually, you don't just run one race, you become a runner. You don't just save once, you become financially wise. Actually, so build a system you have, not just something to achieve, but something to live. In the end, success isn't a moment. Actually, it's that it becomes who you are. Chapter 11:10. Actually, how to break bad habits without relying on willpower. Willpower is like a battery, strong at first, but it drains fast. Actually, if your strategy for change is to just resist, you're setting yourself up for failure. Actually, because in the heat of the moment, when you're stressed, tired, or triggered, willpower almost always loses. The better way. Actually, make bad habits difficult and unsatisfying. Let's break that down. First, make it invisible. Habits are triggered by cues. Actually, if your phone is censored, if junk food is in the pantry, you'll eat it. Out of sight. Actually, out of mind isn't just a saying, it's strategy. Hide the cue and you weaken the habit. Second, make it unattractive. Actually, reframe how you see the bad habit. Instead of, I deserve this cigarette after a long day, shift to, when this is poison I'm rewarding myself with. Change the narrative. See the habit for what it truly costs. Third, make it difficult. Add friction. Actually, if you want to stop wasting time online, log out of your accounts. Delete the app. Use a website blocker. Actually, exercise where is easy, you'll follow through. The harder it is to do, the easier it is to skip. Fourth, make it unsatisfying. Actually, bad habits feel good now, bad later, so reverse that. Use accountability. Tell a friend your goal. Add consequences. Put money on the line. Actually, you break your habit, donate to a cause you dislike. The sting teaches your brain, don't repeat this. Actually, one powerful tool is creating a habit contract, a written commitment with real stakes and someone to hold you to it. Actually, when your habits are private, failure is easy. When their public, effort increases. The point isn't to become perfect. It's to design your life in a way where the wrong behavior is harder to fall into. Willpower is a backup tool. Actually, your real power is insistence and design, because in the end, the best way to break a bad habit is to never need to resist it at all. Chapter 20. Actually, the role of environment and community in lasting change. You shape your habits, but your environment shapes you. Actually, from the layout of your home to you spend time with, your surroundings silently nudge your behavior every single day. Actually, want to build better habits? Start by building a better environment. If your kitchen is stocked with soda and snacks, your diet will reflect it. Actually, if your first literacy in the morning, distraction wins. If your friends smoke, scroll endlessly. Actually, or spend recklessly, guess what you'll start doing? We underestimate how much behavior is driven by what's normal around us. In a library, actually, I whisper at a concert, you scream. That's not willpower, that's environment, and it's powerful. Actually, one of the fastest ways to change your habits is to change your tribe. Surround yourself with people who already do what you want to do. Actually, want to run more? Join a running club. Want to write more? Hang out with people who write. When a behavior is common, actually it feels safe, even enjoyable. We're wired to seek belonging. This is why culture beats strategy. You may have a great personal plan, actually, but if your environment rewards laziness, or shortcuts, eventually it will pull you down. Flip that. Build a culture of growth, and follow people who challenge you. Fill your feed with content that inspires you. Turn your bedroom into a sanctuary for rest. Actually, not a screen-filled zone of chaos. Shape your world to reflect your goals. And remember, it's not just physical space, it's mental space too. Actually, what you read, what you watch, what you talk about, all of it feeds the identity you're building. Want to change your habits long-term? Actually, don't rely on motivation. Redesign your environment, rebuild your community, surround yourself with who you want to become, and you will. Actually, because when your environment supports your identity, your habits stick without force. Change becomes natural. Actually, would you like to continue with Chapter 13? Chapter 13, the Goldilocks rule. Stay motivated by staying in the zone. Too easy, you get bored. Actually, too hard, you get overwhelmed. Just right, you stay in the zone. Ashes right now, what can I do that? Actually, last we stay most motivated when we're working on a challenge that's not too hard, not too easy. Actually, but just right. Are top performers, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, stay consistent without burning out or checking out. Actually, here's what that looks like. You're trying to build a reading habit. Don't start with a dense textbook. Start with a short book on a topic you enjoy. If you want to exercise, don't jump into a 90-minute boot camp. Actually, start with a 10-minute workout that makes you sweat, just enough to push you without crushing your spirit. Actually, the sweet spot of growth is when just often enough to feel good, but challenged enough to stay engaged. Actually, this is where flow happens, when time disappears and you're immersed in what you're doing. It's not magic. It's math. Actually, a 4% beyond your code thrives. But here's the trap. Too much repetition without challenge leads to boredom. Actually, too much anxiety. Both kill momentum. The key, constant small upgrades. Don't just do the habit, elevate it. Naturally, if you're walking if you auto-journaling once a week, try every other day. If you're saving 110 a week, try health 12. Actually, small stretches keep the habit alive. Also, dips, even the best lose motivation. Actually, the Goldilocks rule doesn't eliminate settle, it gives it purpose. When the work feels hard but not impossible, your brain stays invested. Actually, remember, motivation isn't built by hype, it's built by progress. And progress is found in that narrow space. Not where things are too easy. Actually, not where they feel impossible, but where you're just challenged enough to grow. That's where mastery lives. Actually, would you like to continue with Chapter 14? Chapter 13, how to bounce back. The art of rebuilding after failure. Failure isn't the end. Actually, And the difference between people who succeed and people who don't isn't that one group avoids failure, it's that one group knows how to recover. Everyone slips. You'll skip the gym, eat the junk, waste the day. It happens. But what matters most is what happens next. Winners don't aim for perfection, aim for resilience. They don't say, I failed, so I'm done. They say, that wasn't my best, but I'll bounce back fast. And that mindset, the habit of rebounding, is what separates consistent success from constant restarts. Here's the truth. Listening twice is a habit. The faster you get back on track, the less damage is done. Mostly you break one link in the chain. That's okay. Just don't let it become two. Your identity isn't shaped by one bad day. It's shaped by the way you respond to it. A powerful way to bounce back is to use the never zero rule. Even if you can't complete your full habit, do the smallest version. Can't run 5 miles, walk for 5 minutes, can't write a full page. Way matters more than perfection. Another tool, self-compassion. And studies show that people that self-slips are more likely to succeed long-term. Shame and guilt drain energy, and grace and reflection restore it. Also, analyze the failure. Was the cue too strong? Was the environment working against you? Were you burned out? Use the data. Adjust your system. And most importantly, don't let failure define your future. One off day doesn't erase all the progress you've made. You are not your worst decision. You're the sum of your little actions, and you're always one good choice away from being back on track. Because in the end, greatness isn't built in perfect streaks. It's built in the decision to rise again, every single time. Like to continue with Chapter 15, proposed title with Chapter 50, Becoming the Architect of Your Identity. Your habits are not just routines. They're proof. They quietly whisper the story you believe about yourself, and they shape who you become, one action at a time. The real power of habit change isn't in looking better or earning more. It's in becoming someone new. You are not born disciplined. You become disciplined by showing it every day. You are not born confident. You become confident by keeping promises to yourself. You are not born productive. You earn by mastering small wins again and again. Every time you make your bed, you vote for being an organized person. Every time you journal, you vote for being self-aware. Every time you walk instead of scroll, you vote for being someone who chooses progress. And here's the truth: identity is not set in stone. It's built by behavior. You don't need to wait to feel a healthy person to start eating better. You become a healthy person by doing healthy things. You don't need to wait to feel like a writer to start writing. You become a writer by writing. The process is simple. Decide the kind of quiz you want to equate to yourself with small wins. That's it. Behavior first, belief second. Ask yourself, who is the type of person who could achieve what I want? Then stop being them in small, deliberate steps. This flips the script. You stop saying, I want to have this. You start saying, I want to be this. And when your identity changes, your habits follow naturally. This is why small habits are so powerful. They don't just change your schedule, they change your story. So take the pen back. Be the author of who you become. You are not stuck. You are not finished. You are under construction, and you, more than anyone else, have the power to shape your future, one small habit at a time. Would you like to proceed to the final chapter or an epilogue to wrap up the book? Suggested final piece: epilogue, small habits. Big future. Your life starts now. Let me know and I'll write the ending. Perfect. Here's the final chapter to wrap up the journey. Chapter 16, Soulflow Hellis, future. Your life starts now. Change doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to go viral. It just has to be real. One glass of water instead of soda. One push-up instead of procrastination. One page read instead of scrolling. These are the seeds, and if you keep planting them day after day, they grow into something far bigger than you imagined. A life you're proud to live. This isn't about overhauling everything overnight. It's about choosing progress over perfection, direction over intensity, identity over outcomes. Actually, you've learned that habits are built in 4 parts: cue, craving, response, reward. You've discovered the power of tracking, the Goldilocks rule, actually, and the role of your environment and tribe. You've realized that failure isn't final, and change isn't about willpower, it's about design, actually. But most importantly, you've learned to become what you repeatedly do. Every action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. Actually, and no vote is too small. The gym session you almost skipped. The early morning you got out of bed anyway. Actually, the budget you stuck to even when it was hard. These are your real victories. So what now? Start small today. Pick one habit. Make it obvious. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. And stick with it. Not because you're chasing perfection, but because you're building identity. Actually, you're casting votes for your future. Success isn't one giant leap. It's a lifetime of atomic steps. Actually, and if you keep walking, no matter how slow, you'll look up one day and realize you've become someone powerful, focused, disciplined, free. Actually, not because you changed everything, but because you changed the small things that changed everything. This is your story now. Actually, start writing it, one habit at a time. Actually, small habits compound into massive results. One of the most transformational truths of atomic habits is this: you don't need massive action to see lasting change, you only need consistency. Actually, improving by just 1% a lot in the moment, but over time, it compounds into extraordinary results. This principle mirrors the power of compound interest, invisible at first but unstoppable over time. Whether it's saving money, getting fit, actually, or becoming more disciplined, le secret is to focus on the system, not the goal. Actually, the magic doesn't come from a breakthrough, it comes from showing up daily and letting those small steps multiply, too. Actually, your identity is shaped by high habits. People try to change their life by focusing on what they want to achieve. Actually, but real change begins with who you want to become. Your habits are not just actions, they are votes for your identity. Actually, every time you choose to be a writer, every time you train, you become an athlete. Your behavior reinforces your beliefs. And your beliefs reinforce your behavior. This feedback loop is where real, lasting transformation happens. Don't chase outcomes, build identity. Actually, because once you believe and pass in who shows up, the results will follow automatically. 3. Actually, environment and situation relying on motivation is a trap. Motivation is fleeting. It fades when you're tired, stressed, or discouraged. But when you design your environment intentionally, good behavior becomes easier and almost automatic. Want to stop wasting time? Actually, remove distractions. Want to eat healthier? Keep junk food out of sight. Habits are shaped more by the cues around you than the willpower inside you. Actually, instead of forcing yourself to try harder, design your life to make the right actions the path of least resistance. Because in the end, actually, you don't rise to the letter of your else, you fall to the level of your systems. These 3 principles, consistency, identity, actually, and environment, are the foundation of every meaningful transformation. Apply them with intention and your future will change, habit by habit. Actually, would you like this converted into a visual end screen slide or infographic for YouTube real-life applications? Actually, how to use atomic habits in daily life. In real power of atomic habits isn't just in understanding the theory. It's in applying it to your daily life. Actually, you don't need a complete life overhaul. You just need to start small, stay consistent, and build systems that support who you want to become. Actually, let's say you want to get in shape. Instead of declaring, actually, I'll work out 6 days a week, start by putting on your workout clothes every morning. Even if you don't go to the gym yet. Actually, it'll start with a 5-minute walk. When that feels natural, level up. The goal is to build momentum. Actually, not to impress anyone. You're not chasing a perfect routine. You're building the identity of someone who moves daily. Actually, or maybe you want to read more. Don't aim for 50 books a year. Leave a book on your pillow and read 1 page each night. That's it. Actually, 1 page leads to 2, 2 leads to a chapter, and before you know it, reading becomes part of your wind down ritual. Want to save money? Actually, monitor small weekly transfer. File a 10 into a savings account. Use habit tracking apps or a wall calendar to record your streak. Actually, here's a powerful daily tool: habit stacking. Attach a new habit to an existing one. For example, after I brush my teeth, I'll write 1 sentence in my journal. After I make coffee, I'll do 10 squats. After I eat dinner, I'll read for 5 minutes. This enters a yin habit to something automatic, making it easier to stick. Also, take control of your environment. Keep your phone in another room while working. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Set up your kitchen so the healthiest food is the easiest to grab. Above all, track your progress. Use a journal, app, or calendar. Celebrate small wins, and remember, missing once is normal. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit. Atomic habits are about building a life you don't need to escape from, one small, powerful step at a time. Would you like to have a short final word or outro message for your YouTube audience? You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to change one small thing today. Because success is never one massive moment. It's a series of small, quiet, daily choices that build into something extraordinary. Atomic habits most are who you're now and who you're meant to become. Start with 1 vote for the person you want to be. 1 page, $1 saved, 1 walk, 1 new belief, and then do it again tomorrow. The results won't come instantly, but they will come slowly, quietly. Then suddenly the power of compounding. That's the power of consistency. That's the power of habits.